Alright, good morning. I am gonna do this. This is me interviewing me for you, by you, for you, with me. Ask me a question. You can't make me. I won't. Okay? Will you be making more music soon? Yeah, I never stopped working on music. I actually did kind of stop working on music if I really think about it. Around January, February, I realized kind of intuitively off just 1,000 subscribers that this could probably pan out well for me if I just dropped everything and focused on talking really quick on camera. So I started pumping out like a video every 3 weeks, and I put music on the back burner because I had invested so much time and energy into it and it hadn't paid off in a tangible way. But then I was doing this thing and I was like, this could probably cultivate a viewership for some reason. There's been a convergence of my various disparate skills into, oh shit, you could make a video essay. Huzzah. You're very eloquent. How did you get so good at words? People are asking me all the time. Basically, the short answer is I'm just built different, but you know, I read, like I've been studying the word, I think probably since like 13. I got really invested in hip hop. So, I mean, I used to print out sheets of rap lyrics and just break them down in my bedroom, just rhyme scheme wise, and I just always wanted to know words that I didn't know. But my mother said that when I just started talking, I was already speaking in larger sentences than were normal, so I don't know, it's just a disease. If you're comfortable answering, I have a friend who has BPD who unfortunately cannot get treatment at the moment. I was wondering if you could share what support helped you. This is thick advice, so I understand if you are comfortable. Haha. I'm fine. Dialectical behavioral therapy is what saved my life. Let me get the book quick. Okay, I lived in chaos until these skills entered my life and this form of thinking entered my life. Dialectics are just the capacity to accept two alternative extremes that are opposing and try to accept both of them simultaneously, and that is what most of this is based upon, and it's the antidote for all the ailments that come with BPD. Everything in DBT is also extremely practical and doesn't rely upon your feelings. Something that me and my therapist have kind of just settled on is that if you have BPD, you can't trust your feelings, you can't trust your impulses, and you might fuck things up if you follow them. So generally, we just ignore the fuck out of them and we just try to analyze things very concretely. The thing is with BPD, you can't necessarily trust your emotions if you have it, which is a hard thing to do because a lot of therapy generally is about being like honest and trying to unpack like what's the reality of what I feel, whereas my experience in therapy has mostly been like, who gives a fuck what you feel? What you feel is changing every 4 seconds and it is completely unreliable as a compass. So instead, this person that had BPD that constructed this method of therapy was creating like a, you know, like the Hulk Buster suit, like the Iron Man suit to counteract everything that the Hulk can think of. That's how I feel.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
It's just tangible, rational little containers for your feelings and your urges, and there's a skill for everything. There's something to do regardless of how bad you feel or how bad the situation is or how violent your feelings are or whatever. There's always something to do, and the idea is you should do something, because if you don't do anything, then you're just being willful and you're not doing anything to improve your situation or your depression or your anxiety or your craziness. So you're not actually improving your situation. So obviously you should do something, and then if you do something and it doesn't get you from a 10 down, then it sucks that it failed, but you tried something. But if it does get you from a 10 to a 9, then you have done something. And it's really hard to argue with that logic, and it's really hard to argue with the logic of most things in this book. I'm just saying, buy the book. It's really helpful for BPD. But I will concede that if I wasn't hospitalized, if I didn't get really intensive therapy, then I don't think I would have come out of that hole that I was in. So I really suggest finding your treatment. Hi CJ, I hope you're doing well right now. I'm gonna send this before I get lost with work. 5 years ago, where'd you see yourself today? Not here! 5 years ago, I wanted to be a very like prestigious art house filmmaker and rapper extraordinaire. I definitely never saw myself on YouTube. I would have looked down on YouTube. I have mocked my brother for being a YouTuber. But here I am. I'm turning 25 next year, and eventually you start to let go of the kind of prestigious, glamorous, perfect tapestry version of your career, and you start to just grab a hold of the thing that gets you an audience and capability to create things. And here I am. Fun question, favorite wines to drink whilst filming. I don't know as much about wines as people think that I know about wines, but for the better part of this year, it's probably Sauvignon Blancs and then Cab Sauv and Red. I'm going back to red. Can we get a makeup tutorial? No, you'd be so disappointed. I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what contour means. I just put my finger in the pretty and I rub the pretty on my eyeballs, and things have been working out for me for years. If I ever take a sponsorship, it'll probably be for makeup though. We've been watching Miraculous with our almost 5-year-old and everybody's loving it. Who's the best akumatized villain and why? I personally am a fan of the Punisher trio. What the fuck are they called?
Lady Wi-Fi, Reflector, Princess Fragrance. You are now the Punisher's trio.
Yeah, Punisher's trio, because I think the strongest thing about Miraculous is the way that it begins so simple and slow, and it keeps reiterating itself, so you have a very firm grasp of what's going on, and it's a kind of classical and fairy tale level of comforting and compelling. But then later on in the series, they will reincorporate these simple elements and start to fuse them together and smash them against each other, and what you get is something really dense and interesting. So I love the Punisher's trio because that's 3 very early season 1 antagonists fused into one, and you're watching all their powers interact, and also you get the really fucking badass Natalie fight scene. What are your thoughts on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? I haven't seen it. What is the meaning of your life? My life? What show should I go to after I finish Ladybug and have withdrawal? Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is equally powerful magic system. The meaning of my life will become apparent. How are you? I'm a little hungover. Where did Kingdom Hearts go wrong and why is it so painful? It went wrong at Birth by Sleep. Time travel? No. What's your favorite film about which you'll never make a video, insofar as you're comfortable explaining why? Everything. I'm actually not necessarily comfortable analyzing the things that I really love publicly, because those things mean something to me, and when you transform that personal meaning into this thing to be observed and consumed, it does something to your relationship with it. I've had some conversations with people that do a similar thing to I, that it kind of feels like a catharsis, like you kind of get it out of you in a way, which could be lovely, but sometimes you don't want to get something out of you. Sometimes you're kind of want to ponder something in your heart for years and years, and that's how I feel about my favorite art, my favorite movies, my favorite albums, is I could break them down for you, but it's not for you, it's for me, and the influence, their impact is gonna come about within like the meaning that I'm making out of my life and my own personal art, and it will influence it in more subtle and thorough ways. What do you know about certain drugs' chance to activate genetic predisposition towards bipolar? I phrased that terribly. You phrased it fine. I didn't dissociate until I smoked weed for the first time at the age of 15, and then I have never stopped dissociating. So be careful with psychedelics or anything even remotely resembling them if you're crazy. Why are your words so good at make brain go brrr? You're welcome. Who are you? I'm CJDX, nice to meet you. Do you like me? No, I don't know you. Heavy question, not sure if you are comfortable touching on this, but I wanted to ask how you reconcile your Christian faith with your queerness. Are you calling me gay? I recently had to come to terms with the fact that I've been using my faith as a tool to deny the reality that I'm trans. Since coming out, I'm struggling to rekindle my relationship with God in a healthier fashion. Your problem was never with God, okay? God is the all-knowing power at the end of the universe. God is the process of transformation and rebirth and death and finding new meaning in the end of your old identity. So obviously God is okay with you being trans. God has changed so many people's fucking names. You don't have to forgive or accept things that are not of God in order to have a relationship with God, just because those things that are not of God say that they are God. When you're running away from a false God, you are always running towards the real God. I highly recommend watching this recorded sermon that was made by a trans pastor that I worked under briefly without knowing that she was trans, and then she came out during a sermon. So watch this.
The only thing that costs us more than buying the treasure God creates us to find is not buying it. As an ordained minister of the gospel, as someone upon whom the church has laid hands and said, you can speak for us, I want you to hear me say that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, a perfect reflection of God's matchless creativity, no matter your orientation or gender.
What do you think the stages of one's relationship with parasocial relationships are? What does the ultimate healthy version of that look like? I don't know. I'm seeking it. I'm haunted by it. I've been stalked by fans on the street for the very first time this year, and it tortures me. My inability to cross the performer audience divide, to kind of, touch them intimately, I mean emotionally. My inability, or what feels like my inability, to give them enough as they kind of struggle to articulate to me what I mean to them. This bothers me because I want it traversed, because I want the most intimate interaction to occur. I want to give you the best of me, and I want to receive all of you, but I can't. So I think what I've come around to generally is the work is actually the most intimate relationship we could possibly have, is if I just keep doing the work that you're here for in the first place. The more I try to bend over backwards and get on social media and get in your fucking faces and learn your names, it's not enough. It will never be enough. So the best thing I can do is keep my head down and do the thing that is the reason that you are connected with me in the first place. I don't know, though. I'm haunted by this. If you're comfortable answering, I would love to know your view on religion, spirituality, etc. My view on religion would be one massive thing. My view on spirituality would be another massive thing. My view on etc. You don't even want to get me started. My wife has a friend who just found out her 5-year-old has inoperable brain tumors and is going to die. I've been thinking about that a lot. You got anything for that? Nope. That is well outside of my pay grade. Sorry to dump that on you, but no judgment if you want to pretend you didn't see it. No one needs that in their head. I didn't join this Patreon to demand anything. I just hope my $3 would make it a little easier for you to do what you want. I've already got a lot of insight and entertainment from your vids. Thanks. Your $3 does make it easier for me to do what I want. I have been a little staggered by the very literal nature of Patreon, in that you become patrons of me doing what I want, and that's why you subscribe, and that's what you're getting, is you're providing me the financial security to simply research, analyze, create shit, think, research, analyze, create shit, think. It seems like before the end of the year, my Patreon is going to be able to pay my rent monthly, which is a psychological game changer for me at the very least. I don't even have to think about AdSense or finishing something before the month rolls over. I'm not thinking about the finances. Just actually could rely in this kind of net of make shit at the pace that is required, which will allow me to make shit at the quality that you require. How can we get the miraculous ladybug video sooner? You cannot. How much EXP do you need to level up? Shut the fuck up, Chon. I think it'd be dope if you rapped. I've got some great news for you. Shut the fuck up, Chant. Also, what's some of your favorite music and games? I always feel weird answering this because I'm like, if I say it, are you gonna go listen to it? Are you gonna go buy it? Are you gonna play the game? The reason that makes me feel weird is because I don't know if I should be answering just like, what is my favorite shit? Or if I should be trying to provide a recommendation that I presume you will enjoy, or at the very least just like signal boosting something that I find to be underappreciated in general. Or if you're just asking what my favorite thing is out of curiosity, then I suppose I'm providing the kind of feast of personal knowledge that I don't even know if I want to fucking share. When I am playing games, I prefer single player PS4 games and a bottle of wine entirely to myself. So generally, Ghost of Tsushima was the last one that I really got swallowed up inside of, but I have been playing games instead I've been making fucking videos for you. My favorite music is hip hop. Here are some albums that I've been listening to lately. And yes, I rap. Go listen to my album. Sunrises or sunsets? Sunsets. Whales or tardigrades? Tardigrades? I don't like big things on the water. Reading or writing? Writing. Cats or dogs? Cats. Dogs, they put their tongue out, they get too close to your face. What the fuck? Heart or lungs? Heart, I need that. Salty or sweet? Salty. I do not have anything resembling a sweet tooth. Last song you played on repeat too many times? Great question. Don't Look Back, which is from the Rick and Morty soundtrack. Because I'm making a Rick and Morty video. How are you? I'm okay. I'm a little hungover. Salute You Shorts or Hey Dude. Haven't seen either. And what influence or not do you think the rise of third wave feminism had on these shows? Or just the first question, well, I can't answer any of the questions because I haven't seen the fucking shows. I absolutely love your rhythm and cadence when you speak in your videos. Pretty obvious. A lot of people do. And I listen to your music on YouTube Music as well, so I get how it developed. But it made me wonder, is that something you just naturally have in your everyday conversations with friends and such? Or is it a stage, a persona that you put on? Or is it something that naturally comes out when you're in a performative setting like your monologues? Natural. I gravitate towards something that Anthony Jeselnik said about his stage presence.
Someone had described it as like, it's me minus the warmth. You know, there is some warmth there, and I just kind of take that away in order to be a little more of a villain.
I was catching up with a friend I hadn't seen for a couple of years, actually, because of pandemic and switching countries things. And she told me that when she watches my videos, she respects the intelligence of the person she's seeing, but she doesn't like them. When in real life, she likes me. Because that monologuing, unempathetic, chaotic sector of myself is not the whole self, but it's the one required to make the things that I currently get paid for. What would be a miraculous Kwame? Or alternatively, akumatized? I don't know exactly what you mean. Like, what object would it be that is akumatized for me to... if I had a miraculous Kwame, I would select the horse, because I fucking love the horse.
Hello, my name's Max. Are you glorious and famous? Kelky, we don't have time for that.
If I was akumatized, it would be via a wine glass. Attraction is weird and confusing. I very much enjoy a tangent about it. No. What kind of attraction? You mean like sexual attraction? Are you one of my asexual fans that I'm trying to explain sex to all the time. It's very touching and a little sad how many asexuals are so grateful for my throwaway jokes about their mere existence. Like, I'm not making videos about asexuals, and yet they're in my comment sections expressing their gratitude for even being acknowledged. Have you seen the theories that Adrian might be a sentimonster? And if so, what are your thoughts? I think that's dumb as fuck. What are your thoughts on Steven Pinker's theory that history demonstrates humanity's capacity for growth through incremental improvement? I do think that life is probably getting better, and I'm happy that I'm born now and not a different time. Which artists do you support on Patreon, and which are your favorite ones? I don't support fucking anyone on Patreon. I've been falling asleep to video essays for the past 5 years, but I never actually thought I would make one. I never aspired to be a YouTuber. I've never donated to someone's Patreon or donated to a live stream. I always assumed in order to become a successful YouTuber, you'd have to participate in the culture. It turns out not necessarily. People understand what a Patreon is. They understand how I make money, and this is working for me. And so I'm trying not to alter myself to look more like my career path, when this isn't the career path I even want to be in permanently. How much of your scripts for videos are a vague outline of what you want to say, and how much is verbatim? Everything I write in my scripts is complete in the way it's meant to be said, and then I get in front of my camera and I just start rewording everything. How to come to terms with the fact that this is a parasocial relationship and that you will never exist in my life outside of the version of you that's built on my brain's perception. Then again, are the people I actually know any more real than you are? If their true being eludes me in favor of my perceived figure of them, oh God, is anything even real? Good point. Fuck it, I'm having a beer. It's true that your relationship with everyone you know is actually your relationship with your imagined version of them. The bit with me is that you will never be able to interact with me, except you have asked this question, so you are interacting with me. If we ever do meet, it's gonna be an altered relationship from the onset, because you have all this pent-up energy towards me, and I have this very abstract relationship with you as part of a larger conglomerate. Focus on your relationships with people you can interact with, that change you and you can change. With me, just have the intimate relationship with my work. That's the closest we're ever gonna get. Just take the best of me, please, and leave me alone. How old were you when you became sentient? I don't remember. Could you share any more stories from being a camp counselor? I'm curious to hear how you entertained the kids, lol. Part of my domain was the crafts, and so I came up with this bit to say every time I was introducing a craft. I figured no one wants to do crafts, so I have to come up with kind of interesting branding things around the event of crafting so people would be interested in it. So every single day at some point, all the campers would be sat down, and I'd walk into the room going, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mowgli, first name Mo, last name Glee. God created using flesh and blood. Today, we'll be using paper clips and yarn. What are your reading habits like? Fiction, non-fiction? Do you read things front to back, or do you jump around a lot? Any recent book recs? My reading habits have been poor lately, but I have started reading once more. And when I am reading, I am always reading 2 books, generally one boring, one not. How do you prepare to write, film, make vids? I'd love to hear about your process and what works for you. Oh my God, big question. I operate chaotically. I do not work linearly. I try to explain to people, like, I don't make a thing and then make the next thing and make the next thing. It's like I get this vague, blurry understanding of the entire picture, and it slowly sharpens into focus. What that means practically is I'm constantly doing full passes through a work and then sharpening little bits, and then it just comes together and eventually it's complete. However, for videos in particular, I found it probably more rewarding just to have one manic burst of strung along logic. That seems what people enjoy about the videos, is the sensation that this goblin has crawled out of the sewer and for some reason is spouting philosophy. Every song on your Spotify is an absolute banger. When it comes to lyrics and composition, what's your process like? And as a fellow musician, that sounds so pretentious, but I couldn't think of another way to phrase it. What tech/programs do you use to record? Is there any software or gear that you suggest? Wow, you're really milking your fucking question. I use Logic, I have a Tascam interface, a Rode N1TA microphone, I have 2 HS8 Yamaha monitors, and I use my own voice. Although I'm constantly listening to music to drown out the screaming in my mind, when I am not listening to music and I'm just walking around, or I take a shower, or I'm making food or something, that's tend to be when lyrics come to me. Phoebe Bridgers once said that she got the advice that your jokes, what makes you laugh, are your best lyrics, and that tends to be the case with myself. When I come up with a bar, it's just a really badass sentence that I think is funny or true somehow.
If you hate me, I agree, we should start a fucking team.
To keep it on brand, what's the chord progression for vodka? I'm bad at music. It's just F major 7 to C. Do you want kids, and what is love? Shit. I want kids in my mid-30s, and love is a decision you make. I'm not indulging in the parasocial relationship by asking a question. I'm practicing parasocial distancing right now. Good for you. What thing has influenced your art that ain't the same of kind of art/not art? What the fuck? This is a weird question because you're kind of asking me to create this circle around art and try to think of something outside of it. I understand the intention is likely to ask something outside of my genre or medium, but the problem is I work in multiple genres and mediums. I guess maybe the artist is absent video essay by Innuendo Studios. In the creation of these videos, what's your favorite part and what's your least favorite part? You seem to do a decent amount of editing. The writing seems extensive and probably a lot of it gets cut. Filming/performing is obviously a whole endeavor. I'm curious. It's a really good question. It's so 2 things that you actually kind of nailed is filming and performing is painful. The writing is extensive. It's everything you said. The writing takes a really long time. That's the longest period, is me researching and trying to phrase and articulate something that feels kind of abstract and intangible. It's like I'm chasing after nothing. Filming is painful because if the vibes are wrong, the vibes are wrong. I filmed the WandaVision video 4 times before I actually used it. I filmed this video also 5 times now I think about it. But I really appreciate that you noticed how much editing goes into my fucking videos, because I work really hard on the editing. If there's sections of the video that are boring and not kinetic, I feel physical pain. Sometimes my brother Ben from Canada does help me on the edit, but mostly I send him, if I have like 10 hours of footage, I need it cut down to be something resembling the video, I send it to him to go through and just do that really mechanically, because I'm very slow on editing, even though I'm quite good at it. By which I mean the quality of editing that I output is really captivating, but I take a really fucking long time. When he's cutting down my footage, he color codes alternate takes of me saying like the same line or an iteration of one line like 6 times in a row. I wish I could hire someone to edit the way that I would like things edited, but if you want something done the way that you would do it, unfortunately you have to do it. How do you pick your topics? I try to find a sticky idea, so something that's kind of far enough from my heart, like not one of my favorite things in the world, that I can discuss it and kind of turn it inside out, like in a joyful way that doesn't feel like it ruins something for me. Picking a sticky video essay topic is a real art form, I feel, because you're trying to interact with the familiar and unfamiliar in a balanced fashion. It's hard to articulate, and I don't see the point in sitting here and trying to articulate it as I've just been trying to do, because this is a Q&A video, it's supposed to be off the cuff, so let's just look at my actual videos and decide what's sticky about them. Skipping the first 5 minutes of Tangled, that is an excellently sticky concept for a video. It's like, why would I skip the first 5 minutes of that animated Disney movie from 2010, and why is it 27 minutes long in this video? That's perfect. There's like the common ground of nostalgia, and then it's linked by this the excitement of the unknown. Video length has a lot to do with it too. The Neurosis of Cat Valentine, I immediately knew was gonna be a hit, and it's the biggest thing that I've done, because it's like, why would you do 1 hour and 20 minutes on this character I kind of remember from that Nickelodeon show that was kind of bad? Similar bit with the Bo Burnham versus Jeff Bezos video, is like that song was a meme, so immediately there's your stickiness in terms of like algorithmic appeal, but then the 2.5 hours and then the slow realization that this is about like our very souls, like that's a sticky idea. Same with analyzing Coraline through a Lovecraftian lens. I knew that would be sticky. Critically analyzing memes, not sticky at all. That was a stupid video that I did as a reaction to what people may have expected of me after the Bo Burnham video. I really needed to cleanse my brain and reset. Sometimes you need to send a fuck you to your audience as a message of love to your audience. Please, could you just say my name and that I'm a real person so I can play it back when I forget? Thanks. Naomi Hepworth, you're a real person. Look around you. Look at the objects around you. You belong where you are. Triangle problem, capitalist realism style. You can only pick 2 failures of global power structures to emphasize in your work. 1, environmental issues. 2, mental health. Or 3, bureaucracy. Which 2 do you choose to emphasize and why? I choose to emphasize mental health and bureaucracy because I feel like I can change those things. Obviously the most important ones are actually environmental issues and mental health. I feel like bureaucracy can be unwoven over time, but I have struggled with this. I don't give a shit about the environment, and I'm not good at giving a shit about the environment. So when I have amassed enough power to do something about the environment, I'll do what someone else tells me to do, but this is not where I can actually lead society. In mental health and bureaucracy, I feel like I actually can make significant strides on behalf of my comrades in those areas. Do you have a stance on the existence of possible worlds? Yes, I judge total strangers on the metaphysical theories they subscribe to. By possible worlds, do you mean alternative, like other planets? Or like other realities that are adjacent to ours? My stance on the existence of possible worlds is I am concerned with what is reliable and what I can interact with. Every morning I arise from vivid plot-heavy dreams and nightmares, and I accept that no one's gonna give a shit about what I just imagined. No, it's never gonna come back. It meant nothing, and now I have to engage with the hallucination that I'm waking up to the most often. If you were a rat, what would your rat home look like? What human objects, other than food, would make you steal, what human objects would you steal and make your god? Thank you kindly. This is a great question. Also, shout goes out Saba, because you're a longtime patron and I recognize your name and you're funny. I feel like out of obligation, my rat home god, my semblance of a Buddha statue would be probably one of those miniature vodka thingies. Are you still making music? Yes, I am. I stopped for a bit to focus on YouTube because I realized if I could cultivate this thing into something sustainable, it would be a reliable international source of income for which I could work from anywhere in the entire planet at any time. And that is what I have somewhat succeeded in doing. It is not stabilized. I can't believe it's been a year. Expected in 2022. Molly made all my hangups go away and stopped the endless chatter in my brain giving me bad advice. Is this normal? When I first did Molly, I was walking in the daylight with my hands in my pockets and my hands felt like clouds. I was high out of my mind. I was 18. It was November 1st in Glasgow in Scotland, and the thought that dominated my mind was, I'm finally fine. How are you so beautiful with your words and shit? I'm glad that's how you feel. If you're an eloquent person, you can use that power for good or for evil. My ability with words has also enabled me to harm people pretty efficiently if I'm angry at them or if I'm careless. If aliens exist, would you go talk to them for us? What do you think they'd look like? I'm gonna put this graphic up on screen because there's an illustrated guide for how alien would be. I'm compelled by that and our fucking arrogance and thinking that we would ever be able to communicate with aliens if they did show up. Why is my friend with depression and a fucked up dad so fucking annoying to me? Like, bro, you're 24, move out or some shit, stop complaining. Oh, I guess I answered my own question. The real question is a broad conversation about the sort of conversations people have in their mind, like the one I wrote, not unlike your one video about the gay grandma lady. The main difference being it wouldn't just be about analyzing that story. Oh shit, wait, never mind, this isn't a mental health channel unless you want to swing that way. I think it would be cool, maybe IDK, you're the captain of the ship. You went on a little journey there. I did talk about this in the Marnie video. I suppose that's the common reference point for us when we are speaking. I think there's suffering, and then there's the decision to remain in your suffering. That's another thing from the dialectical behavioral therapy bit, is you can be doing something about your situation. And when you are sitting in your pain and you're kind of growing to love your pain and you're holding on to your pain and you're not willing to go beyond your pain, like you deserve all the understanding and patience in the world. But yeah, some people will feel the toxicity of your internal life bleeding into their life. I'm not saying that if you have mental illness, you are a burden on others. I'm saying that something dark is hounding you and it wants your soul. And the thing is, you're valuable. You're a beautiful person and people love you. So when something tries to destroy you, it also harms the people around you. And when you conquer your demons, you're doing it on behalf of all that you matter to. How are you doing? You doing all right? I keep talking about killing myself. This year has been really meaningful for me. I've constructed a life that I'm quite proud of. I finally have accessed an audience. I can't imagine if people are hooked on what I'm outputting that they're ever gonna grow out of it, because I will never stop being the way that I am, and I've never met someone that can out-me. In the vein of big tech companies streamlining our souls for money, I'm really curious whether you have any thoughts on Tumblr as a social media platform. Thoughts on the staff's seeming incompetence, inability, unwillingness to effectively monetize its user base in the way Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, etc. does, and just how different the culture is on the site, especially with its smaller user base now after the 2018 not safe for work ban. I have a Tumblr. I won't tell you it because I don't want that to be a thing. I think Tumblr low-key has become the most enlightened place on the internet, where people are like, everyone's problematic, everything's shitty, I don't care about anything. But you're right, where Tumblr feels distinctly non-corporate because it's so poorly managed. When I log into Tumblr, I have a different feeling than when I log onto Instagram or Twitter. It doesn't feel like I'm being sucked into something, and I don't feel a kind of like corruption of my critical thinking. Sorry, the actual direct answer is that I have no big thoughts about Tumblr. Me and Sarah Zed are Tumblr mutuals now, and we send each other memes. Someone's gonna really enjoy that piece of information. What is your favorite Studio Ghibli film, or alternatively, what are your favorite individual scenes in Studio Ghibli films? I said it both ways so no one could be mad at me. I had a really dark moment when I was 20 years old. I lived in a weird fucking apartment, and there was a lot of fruit flies. And I had lost all of my friends at the time because of my own shittiness. And I watched Kiki's Delivery Service every day for like 2 months, just drinking whiskey, trying to escape into the TV screen and the peacefulness of her simple little life. Hi, this is more of a request, but can you do a video essay on? No, I don't take requests. Do you speak any other languages than English, and is there a language you are specifically interested in? We all start with a bit of French in Canada, so that's the farthest I ever progressed with anything, but I am tortured by the idea that I only speak one language. It makes me feel like a fucking idiot, because another language is a different patchwork understanding of reality itself. All I care about is wine. What's your favorite red wine? I don't know. I like a nice Cabernet Sauvignon, and I like it bitter and I like it dry. Your Bo Burnham video really put the residential nature of the modern internet in perspective for me, and it's made me think a lot about how our species is changing through this post-pandemic socio-digital evolution, and it's got me having lots of conflicting feelings about Facebook's somewhat dystopian rebranding. I'm realizing this is probably more of a weightier discourse thing, a fan question thing, but I'm curious about your thoughts on Mr. Salamander McRedFlag Fuckersburg metaverse. Like, do you think it'll lethally hinder us, dystopia style, or will it be more incidentally beneficial to our growth and connectivity, in the way that the innovation of social media has arguably been a net positive for the species? 3 points for the Mr. Salamander McRedFlag Fuckersburg. That's pretty funny. A glaring tension in what I created with that Bo Burnham, Jeff Bezos, transhumanism, retain our physical reality thing was that some people commented that were disabled, that were like, I've been living through the internet forever. And a lot of people that are lonely or queer or just they found their community in their life through the internet would push back and be like, wait, but the internet being real is significant. And I tried to articulate that in the video, is that, like, I'm not saying tear it down, because we can't, because our souls are in it, and it's kind of okay as long as we do that with some dignity. So with Mr. Salamander McRedFlag Fuckersburg, I don't respect him or trust him at all with our fate, but with the kind of macro step forward into virtual reality existing literally physically in the internet, it's like, it's not enough until it's enough that it can simulate sensation, you know what I mean? And then people are finally gonna legislate it. Could you make a video about art? I don't care if that sounds pretentious, I think it's something that needs to be done. I think art is something not enough people appreciate or pay attention to. It's actually very cool. Also, I took shrooms and fell in love with that Michelangelo painting, so it could just be a shift in my personality. I think you were just on shrooms. Art's boring. Why do most of left tube drink wine as an aesthetic and therefore making me unable to risk looking at their beautiful faces while they're talking, because I don't want to relapse? I know every time I see a movie and someone's smoking, I want to smoke so bad. Representation matters, but also if you are triggered by alcoholism, you may not want to keep watching my YouTube videos. Which miraculous / Kwame would you have if you were a Parisian middle schooler who was friends with Marinette? Friends with Marinette? I want the horse. She's so cute.
Oh, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
What brand of laundry detergent do you use? Would you recommend it to your family or your friends? What about us, your vast and varied audience? I don't know what laundry detergent I use. I don't care. That's not an important part of my life. I wouldn't recommend it because it wouldn't be worth the brain space for me to store that information. Do you have a favorite book or something you picked up at the perfect time? Thank you for sharing your ideas through the one-way window. You're welcome. I don't know how to explain this as like a positive, but Bad News by Edward St. Aubin was a nightmare for me to read. I was having quite the drug-addled and drinky and destructive on the inside, kind of corrosive, rotting sensation in your belly year. Working really hard, but dying. And Bad News is an excellent, vivid simulation of what it feels like when you start the day being like, I'm not gonna binge on drugs, and then the day just slowly devolves into you doing the same thing that you've done a million times, just in the messiest, dirtiest way, which is the way it always is. It also has the very unfortunate effect of triggering your psychosis and dissociation that probably drove you to be using in the first place. It sucks in a good way. Fuck it, I'm having a vodka. You referenced Brandon Sanderson in your last video. Have you read the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan that Brandon co-authored after Jordan's death? Are you gonna watch the series adaptation coming out this month? Because of this comment that I got 3 days ago, I actually researched this particular issue, and it is fascinating.
You agreed to be the one responsible for completing a story that's been going on for almost 20 years. What were you thinking?
I was a big fan of the series. And as a writer myself, I realized that if I didn't say yes and take hold of it myself, I didn't know who they were going to give it to. And if someone else came along and screwed it up, then it would be partially my fault.
I have not read the Wheel of Time series. It kind of seems like a really long thing to get. Like I'll read the Wheel of Time series at the same time that I start watching One Piece. Hi, what is one song / movie / book / piece of art that soothes you when you feel overwhelmed? Kiki's Delivery Service, as pre-established. What are your thoughts on the newest season of Miraculous? I've been watching it. It fucks.